Maryland football should have absolutely zero trouble with NIU.
You are Locked On Terps, your daily podcast on the Maryland Terps, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
What's up, everyone? I'm Tre Moore, host of Locked On Terps, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. So thank you guys for making us part of your day. And today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Football season is around the corner. Visit the FanDuel app today and start planning your future bets now. Maryland football should have no trouble tonight against NIU. So we got a big matchup tonight in the Terps versus NIU, and I really believe that the Terps should have zero trouble tonight with NIU coming to play at Maryland. I think it all starts with me in this game. It's a really interesting game. The second game of the year for Maryland football, maybe our hardest non-conference test. It's definitely arguable. None of these teams are necessarily where or have the similar type of talent that Maryland football has. Honestly, the line's pretty similar to the FAU game. It's actually a little bit higher, but we know that FAU didn't really offer much resistance. But I think when we talk about this game, this second game of the year, Friday night, there's going to be people at this game. I'm sure that the crowd will be buzzing. People are going to be excited to watch new freshman quarterback, all these different things. But to me, there's no reason why Maryland shouldn't win this game rather easily. To me, it starts with the fact that Maryland's at home. Home on a Friday night game against a team that you're 17.5-point favorites. You're 17.5-point favorites against Northern Illinois. There's no reason at all Maryland should have any trouble beating Northern Illinois. There's zero reason. When we start with playing at home in front of our home crowd, there's going to be energy there for Maryland football. I don't know the last time, personally, I've been so excited to watch a single player play for Maryland football. Talia was cool. He was a really good quarterback. What was he? Second team All Big Ten for a couple of years. And he brought this program to a really solid spot under Michael Oxley and really got the Michael Oxley era coming. But he ain't what Malik Washington is. And the way that crowd is going to be, that excitement to watch Malik Washington throw the football around, show his athleticism, do some things in the run game, the pass game, deep ball, medium balls, some of his arm talent, all those different things. I think it just brings a whole new excitement that NIU just isn't going to be ready for. And it's an environment that I don't know Maryland has had. Now, it is Northern Illinois, so I don't know how many students actually end up showing up, but I think it's going to be pretty steep. If we saw how many people were at the first game, and I just think the fact that Malik Washington is who he is, and Maryland on Friday night's game, they average more attendance in their Saturday games. And people will be watching at the beginning of the game, I'm sure. I know there's an NFL game, the Chiefs and the Chargers, later on at like 8:15 or something like that. But Maryland is at 7 o'clock. I think people will watch this Maryland game a little bit, especially the college football fans. There's going to be some excitement. And being at home field advantage, I think the Terps should have absolutely no trouble with that. And something else that I'll continue to say is that the way that Northern Illinois played against Holy Cross, I think should give us confidence. Last week was also their first game, obviously, against Holy Cross. And I didn't think Northern Illinois was that great. I for one, they don't have a good enough quarterback to beat us. They didn't really open it up much. He went 12 of 18 for 101 yards in one interception. This kid, Josh Holst. That's not getting him done against Maryland. And I'm telling you now, Maryland's defense is a lot better than Holy Cross. A lot better than Holy Cross's defense. And the fact that he went 12 of 18 and they had to manage him against Holy Cross. And I'm not saying Holy Cross is a terrible program, but let's be honest. Let's be real. They're not the type of team that Maryland is. And I think that tells you a lot of what you need to know heading into this game. We're just going to have the talent to really expose them. And I think sometimes in these weird matchups like Northern Illinois versus Maryland, you can sometimes have like a player like specifically at the quarterback position. Sometimes it's like a running back. Like I think of Ashton Genty last year from Boise State, even though Boise State has a little bit more on paper than NIU does. But sometimes they have like these really good quarterbacks. Maybe they're not like crazy physically talented, but they're really high IQ, accurate guys, can make a ton of throws, and all of a sudden they can really score the ball. That's how a team like NIU, I think, ends up actually beating you. But to me, if they can't open it up, if they can't make some throws, if they don't trust their quarterback to do much against Holy Cross, I don't know why that would happen against Maryland. Don't see why it would happen, and I don't think it will happen against Maryland. I think they'll struggle to throw the football on us, and I don't think we'll have much trouble stopping the run either. It's not like they ran the ball super effectively against Holy Cross. I know they had a couple of their leading rusher, Siobhan Wright. If you look at the stats, he actually played really well. But the guy that had the most carries, Kelly Johnson Jr., who's their running back one, had 21 carries for 67 yards, only averaged 3.2 yards per carry. So what does that tell me? They couldn't really even run the ball that much against Holy Cross. And I don't know how they generated much offense, to be completely frank. And that ain't going to happen against Maryland football. And I just don't think they have the offensive personnel to be able to beat us. And for us, the other side of things, Malik Washington's in town for Maryland football, like I said. This kid can easily put up 40 against Northern Illinois. What would have happened if he started on time, if he was really efficient early on in the game like he was in the second and third quarter? You're looking at that game, and it's probably 50-7 if Malik Washington didn't have a little first-game jitters, which is totally fair. He started the game a little bit slow in the first quarter. We didn't do much. All we had was that defensive touchdown. And so to me, the fact that we've got Malik one game in and NIU couldn't do much against Holy Cross, we should have zero trouble with this team, with this NIU team. I just don't think they have the firepower. And I know they have some decent players, but I just don't think they can score on us. I don't. I think that Maryland's going to be able to score points. Like, I'm not saying we're going to completely dog their defense. Like, let's give them credit. Their defense looked good against Holy Cross. Holy Cross didn't play very well on the offense side either. Their quarterback went 17 to 29 for 155 yards. But we ain't Holy Cross. We got some dudes on the outside. We got a dude at tight end in Dorian Fleming who led our team in receptions in week 1. And I just think that we're going to score a lot more than Holy Cross did against NIU. And all of a sudden, NIU is going to be looking at themselves down by 14 points. And they don't like opening up the game. They don't like their quarterback. And the game's pretty much over. So I just don't see them beating us. We'll talk a little bit more about the keys to the game and where NIU can actually make up some things. But I like this Maryland team. I think we should have no trouble beating NIU. But let's get into some specific matchups. We'll talk about some keys, some players I'm watching for Maryland football. We'll talk about that next. Mazda crafts cars for those who choose to do more than simply move. They follow what moves them every time they drive. And that's what makes Mazda stand out. They go beyond safety, style, and performance to deliver driving experience that feels alive in every detail. Mazda offers more than safety. It's won more 2025 IIHS top safety picks plus awards than anyone else. As an athlete focuses on every detail, Mazda does the same. From metallic accents to hand-stitched Napa tether. You can feel it in the moment and you can get behind the wheel. The smooth handling, intuitive controls, and the standard all-wheel drive in every crossover SUV. It's the small details that make the big plays. And just like there's more to every player, there's more to a Mazda vehicle. Mazda, move and be moved. It's almost a weekend. Time to look back and crown this week's MVP on Who Delivered, powered by DoorDash. Just like you can win every Saturday with DoorDash streaks, saving more every time you order. These players deliver when it mattered most. Let's break it down. For Maryland, my choice is Malik Washington. He delivered in a big way. That 3-touchdown second quarter, he was money. He played one of the best games I've seen a Maryland freshman quarterback play, and he came through. No hesitation, no delay. And if you've been watching the week one, you know that this guy has the potential to be really good. And just like Malik Washington delivers for Maryland football, DoorDash delivers your Saturdays with DoorDash treats. You save every Saturday you order. Stack it up all season, and you could save up to $250, including 100 in DoorDash credits. Order this Saturday. Keep the streak alive. Fuel your game day only with DoorDash. Terms apply. Promo period through 11/18. Let's talk some keys to the game, some things from Maryland football that I think are going to be extremely important in this game against Northern Illinois, because I do want to say this. We want to remember, I know I'm talking really high on this Maryland football team, and they came out and played really well against FAU, but don't think that it's impossible for Northern Illinois to beat us. It ain't impossible. They have absolutely a chance. Ask Notre Dame last year. And so you never know what happens on Friday. You can easily get in a dogfight. But I do think there's a couple different matchups that Maryland has kind of momentum. We'll see what happens. So the number one thing is the quarterback battle. You always start there. Malik Washington from Maryland football. And then for Northern Illinois, you have this kid, Josh Holst, who didn't play that well, I don't think, against Holy Cross. Managed the game, did a little bit. We don't really know too much about what he's going to be. He's a sophomore right now. He is a pretty big kid. He is from Illinois, 204 pounds. But let's be honest, he doesn't come close to what Malik Washington is. And when you just compare the quarterbacks as a key matchup, I don't see how Maryland football doesn't dominate that matchup. I think we're going to outplay them. I think that I think Malik's going to outplay Josh Holtz. I think he could actually have a lot of trouble generating some plays against the Maryland defense, and I think Malik Washington will have no trouble. Something else I'm going to be looking at in this game against Northern Illinois is how much are we going to be able to stop the run? I think it's pretty clear Northern Illinois wants to run the football. They want to run the football. They want to do some things in the run game. And so I think how well Maryland's going to be able to stop their couple of backs that they ran out last game, I think is going to be really important. Because if you look at what they did last game, even though the run game wasn't necessarily working, they had a lot of carries. Between their top two rushers had 32 carries combined. Like, that's definitely a good amount. Their top rusher, Siobhan Wright, who's actually not their number one back, I guess, had 11 carries, 77 yards in the touchdown. And their backup, Kelly Johnson, ran the ball 21 times for 67 yards. So Maryland's defensive line, who I think has looked good in game one, and we'll see if that's able to continue, how well can we stop the run? Because I do think that that's what Northern Illinois wants to do. So we'll see. I think especially the inside of that line, the linebackers, Daniel Wingate. We'll see if that's another thing, if Michael Harris is able to play. But how well those linebackers are able to play is going to be a big part. Trey Reddick as well. Something else, going back to the offense side of things that I'm wondering is going into this game, is Maryland going to be able to run the ball? We couldn't really run the football against FAU. I guess Williams had a decent day rushing, 10 carries, 54 yards. But then Nolan Ray and Iverson Howard both had 8 carries. Nolan Ray only had 25 yards. And I think we all kind of expect Nolan Ray to be our guy. Iverson Howard, talented freshman, getting carries. But nobody could really create much in the run game. So you wonder, is Maryland going to be able to run the football? Now, one of Northern Illinois' best players is receiver Diari Rogers. He had 7 receptions for 73 yards. So basically, look at Josh Holt's numbers, 12 of 18, 101 yards. DRA Rogers had 7 receptions for 73 yards. So Rodgers had most. So about 70% of that production the other night or the last game for Northern Illinois was to this Rodgers kid. And it's going to be a big thing to see how our DBs, we have a lot of good players in that DB room, how they're going to be able to match up. That's definitely something I'm going to be really interested in. I think a lot of people are going to be watching. I think a lot of people are going to be into how do our DBs match up against him, because he's who they wanted to throw to. That's who they were trying to throw to a lot. This Rodgers kid, that's who this Josh Holtz kid wanted to throw to. So it'll be really interesting to see if we're able to stop him because outside of that, they didn't have a ton of receivers that did much. So I think that's another big time matchup for Maryland football. But I do want to side note, talk about the Michael Harris thing for a second. That is also something that is going to come out in this game, which is important for the season. Is Michael Harris part of Maryland football this year in an impact way? That's a big part of this because I think we all think the kid's talented. We think the kid can do a lot of different things, but is he actually part of Maryland football this year? And what they did he, like, what happened? Why did he not play much? Was he suspended or something like that? Did he not play well throughout camp? Like, what's the deal there? I think that's something else that's going to be really important that I'm definitely going to be watching out for. So we'll see exactly how that goes. But that's something that's going to be very interesting, the Michael Harris situation. But overall, I'm feeling good. You can talk about the receivers as well for Maryland football. Will number one guy emerge? Jaleel Farouk, Octavian Smith, will they have a little bit more catches, or will it still be by committee in this game against NIU? Definitely something to watch for Maryland football. But I like some of our matchups. I like how we can attack, and I like how we should be able to control both sides of the line of scrimmage. Let's talk a little bit about the spread going into the game. Who's the favorite? Well, we know who the favorite is, but who's going to cover? We'll talk a little bit about the over-under. We'll do that next. Hey, Locked On Terps fans, are you still paying full price for gas? Stop leaving money behind. Get real cash back every time you fill up with free Upside app. Simply download the free Upside app in the App Store or Google Play right now and start earning cash at the pump today. Use my limited time football and get an extra 25 cents back per gallon on your first fill up. You can make up to $300 a year just from buying the gas you already needed. At first, I thought it was too good to be true, but it's totally legit. Real people are getting paid just to make their daily commute, and you can too. Plus, you can cash out anytime in your bank account, PayPal, or e-gift card for Amazon and other brands. Don't let this offer drive on by. Download the free Upside app now using my limited time promo code football for a limited time 25% per gallon. This promo code football. Offers may vary in location. Go to upsidedown.com for terms and conditions. The NFL season is almost here, and FanDuel's making sure you're ready for kickoff with can't-miss offers. Right now, new customers can bet just $5, and if your bet wins, you get $300 in bonus bets to use across the app. I love using FanDuel because it fits however you like to bet. Player props, building the same game parlay, or even jumping in live as the action unfolds. It makes every game more exciting, whether you're watching your team or just keeping an eye on your fantasy lineup. It's quick and easy and the best way to add a little more energy to Sundays. So are you ready to play? Download the FanDuel app today by visiting FanDuel.com to get started. It's FanDuel.com to place your first $5 bet. Let's get into the spread. So obviously this Friday night game is honestly on in a couple of hours, so I'll try and get this posted for you guys right away. But where I look at it now, the spread is about 17.5. Maryland obviously favored against Northern Illinois. So an interesting number heading into this day. Maryland's minus 850 on the money line as well, but 17.5. I'll say this. It's a lot of points for sure. It's definitely a lot of points. Definitely not an easy number to cover for Maryland, but I really like the Terps to potentially cover this for a lot of the reasons I already talked about. One, we're at home. Maryland football is at home. I think that gives them a really good opportunity to actually be able to win this game. I think they're going to have the chance to do that. I think Maryland football could potentially win this game because they're at home. Or obviously they're going to win the game, but cover this game because they're at home. I just think there's an extra juice on a Friday night. I think Maryland, I feel like, I remember the Virginia game when we won like 42-14, I feel like was on a Friday and it was a blackout. I feel like Mike Locksley does a good job with these Friday night games. And I just think there's a new energy surrounding this team where I think Maryland absolutely can cover this game. And last year when I talked about Maryland football covering, I never felt confident with Billy Edwards. I didn't. I felt like we weren't using him right. I thought we tried to make him into a player that he really wasn't, and it kind of showed later on the season. Some games it was okay. What Mike Locksley wants to do is what Malik Washington is. And he's going to sit in the pocket and make throws. He's athletic. He's a freak of nature as well. He can run the football with the best of them, but that's not his number one thing. And to be able to cover a 17.5 spread, you got to score something. You just do. You can't put up probably 20 points and cover this. You probably have to put up 35, 42 points. And I never felt so good about a player being able to do that for Maryland football. And again, I know Talio was good. I know he was a talent. I know he was interesting. Obviously, brother Tua brought some energy to our program, did a really good job. 3 straight bowl games for Maryland football, all this pizzazz. Malik Washington, in terms of pure talent, is just on another level. He's just on another level that Talio just wasn't on. So I think we're going to be able to score on these guys. I like our receivers, and I really like how a lot of our receivers were making big-time plays in week 1. And now I feel like it's going to be explosive. And if Maryland can't necessarily run the ball, that might be bad long-term, but against this Northern Illinois team, it might work. And it might make us score more points because we're not going to be able to drown out the clock as much and different things like that. So I think the fact that we could be able to we won't be able to run the ball actually might make us easier a little bit to cover the spread. And then I talked about it earlier. Our defense is going to dominate these guys tonight. I don't see them being able to stop our defense. I just don't. I just think it's too athletic. I think it's too freakish with the 2 freshmen coming off the edge, Sydney Stewart and Zahir Mathis, both guys who are just freaks. Zahir Mathis might be one of the best edge freshmen in the country. Someone's going to try and get him to leave next year, but that's a topic for another day. I don't think Northern Illinois can block us on the edge with some of the freaks that we have currently coming off. I think we get to their quarterback. We haven't really seen them open up the offense yet. I think Maryland football is going to be good. I think they're going to be in a good spot to create pressure, get to the quarterback, and do some really good things against a Northern Illinois team. So I think Maryland covers the 17.5. And then the over-under is interesting at 46.5. I could really see a game that goes under. I can see Maryland scoring 35 points and then Northern Illinois only scoring 7. And I can absolutely see that. I just don't think Northern Illinois scores very much. It's still a little bit low if Maryland starts to score a lot and the time's not ticking down as much as we might think. Then maybe Northern Illinois could backdoor and make that an over. But I think reasonably when I think about the game, I just don't see them scoring very much. And maybe I could be wrong about that, but I think that gives Maryland a real opportunity, or not Maryland, but the game a real opportunity to go under. We'll see exactly what happens. We'll see how it ends up happening, but I can definitely see that game going under, but we'll see what happens. That's all we have for today. Thank you guys for listening to Locked on Terps. Make sure you like and subscribe. We're here every day talking Maryland football and basketball, so thank you guys for listening to Locked on Terps.